the pop culture field manual.
In case anyone doesn't know, there was recently an attempted coup in Russia by the Wagner mercenary group. No matter what Putin or anyone else says, they were marching to Moscow and shooting down helicopters, and it was not going to be pretty. But did you know there have been 3 other coup attempts this year? In Moldova, Sudan, and Kyrgyzstan. There were 8 coup attempts last year globally. So, what I'm trying to say is these aren't rare occurrences. And those of you not in the know, here's the definition of a coup. A sudden, violent, and unlawful seizure of power from a government. That can be via the military, which is often the case, or anyone trying to get all violent and overthrow the government. Taster's choice, or rather, coup-er's choice. They're brutal, usually bloody, and usually not good for the regular folks, but they also make for a dramatic and fascinating pop culture. So today, we're going to run down the list of our favorite coup attempts in the land of fiction. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pop Culture Field Manual Podcast.
Folks, thanks for joining us, folks. We want to thank all of you for listening and watching now that we are back on YouTube. So if you want the full visually stimulating experience, please go over to
your eyes.
PCFM Podcast, Pop Culture Field Manual Podcast on YouTube, and you can see our pretty faces and the amazing green border from which we are surrounded by. But coups are an interesting thing, man. And it's not like Chris's intro says. It's not a rare occurrence. In fact, I would say all the way up until the modern era, they were probably a pretty regular way of transitioning a government from one to another because a little less democratic back in the day. Now
sure.
Kind of not totally unheard of, but also hopefully not as regular as maybe they were back then. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, coup. I'll be honest, man. And this is embarrassing to admit, so I hope you guys don't judge me. But I didn't know what a coup was before we came up with the idea of this episode. I was like, coup? Is that like a chicken coup?
A chicken coop?
A chicken coup?
A coup
Spelled
d'etat?
the same, right?
A coup d'etat?
Yeah.
Coup d'etat, I think, is the official
coup d'etat.
phrase. Coup d'etat.
Oh, yeah, coup d'etat on my research, yeah. And I had to ask Chris and Izzy, hey, what the hell is a coup? Because long story short, is actually very appropriate. I had a buddy recently that had a shirt from a company called Half Face Blades. They make awesome knives, and they're literally pieces of art. Mm-hmm. But he had a half face blades shirt on, and like it basically showed the type of feathers that Native Americans would wear, and each feather meant something different. Whether it's like how many conflicts they've been in, how many warriors they've scalped, how many. Also, one of them was how many coups they've been in. So it's like you can have this stripe on your feather if you've been in 4 or more coups. And I was like, what the hell is a coup, man? And I've seen like on Instagram people's name with like coup in it. And I've always wondered, what's a coup?
Yeah,
and
man.
I found out.
And it's, some of the movies on our list, the coup is at the center point of the plot. Like it is maybe like it's what the movie's about. And a lot of the stuff on our list, it's kind of an inciting incident or a plot point. It's not like what the whole game is about or the whole movie or whole television show, but it is like the introduction said, it's an interesting way to move the story forward or to cause a great upheaval or a great incident in the characters' lives that they have to deal with. Because, we all wish that we could live in peaceful nations, and hopefully a lot of us do, but it's not the case around the world, like you talked about Moldova, Sudan, Kyrgyzstan, like the army,
Kyrgyzstan,
the land of Kirks.
The land of Kirk.
But yeah, we forget kind of because we live in a relatively kind of peaceful area of the world. But if you have enough military power, you'd be like, maybe I want to be president now.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Let me ask you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, go for it.
Chris,
ask me the question.
Or Cameron, the person that I'm talking to. What is the difference, do you think, between a coup, a revolution, and an invasion? Or an insurgency? Because we have insurgency, revolution, coup, and invasion, right?
I don't think I am the military strategic technician expert that you think I am, where I can tell you tactics from a platoon level, but if you want me to get all like big scale, big brain, moving chess pieces, I can't do that.
Well, that's why I'm asking,
but it is
I'm
a good
really
question,
sure I
man.
know, yeah.
Because based off the definition, obviously, it is a sudden, violent, and unlawful seizure of a power from a government.
Right.
So I think it has to involve removing a government through violent measures. So an armed military intervention.
Yeah.
Essentially from a group compromised of either civilians or a military removing forms of power from the government. So I think the difference between an invasion could be government invading another government, territory invading territory. So there's a difference there. And then, but I think, what was the first one you said? Because that's very close.
We have coup,
a revolution.
Yeah, revolution and invasion and insurgency, you know.
Yeah, an insurgency, I think, is not necessarily a takeover, but I think an armed conflict. Like an insurgency have political goals in mind that they want to influence, but I don't think they want to seize power away from the government. I think insurgencies are the creation of an armed militia to sway the political opposition or to put things into power, but not necessarily take over, if that makes sense. I would assume that's what that meant for insurgency.
Yeah, I mean, like, I tend to agree that, yeah, insurgency is, I mean, I think ultimately the point of an insurgency is to destabilize the government so that, you know, so that they can take over. Because, like in Iraq, we were legitimizing and supporting the current government, and the insurgency was trying to destabilize that. They were working against us to destabilize the populace and, you know, resources and things like that. You know, I had always thought of a coup
I would
as
assume
being
they're
from
synonyms of each other.
They probably have similarities, like, because a coup to me I always thought was internal, like it was the country's own military that was turning against the civil government and violently taking it over, whereas an invasion would be a foreign military coming in. I mean, ultimately you can invade a country without then taking over the political government. Like you invade, and then, I mean, usually that's the end result is, like, you know, you get some sort of change of government. But a coup I had always thought was internal.
It's internal. Yeah, I would agree with that hypothesis. You're so smart. Look at you.
Look at me.
But yeah, man, it's very hard to find like entire pieces of pop culture that are, you know, there's very far and few between, according to my research, that involve the entire movie about a coup.
Right.
But there are many pieces of pop culture that have a element within the film that involve a coup. So I think we're going to talk about both here today.
Yes.
And first of all, before we even get in, happy 1 year anniversary to our patrons.
Yeah.
We've been here for a year. We've built this community. You guys are awesome. I think we've done a lot here to make this a happy and fun community. So first of all, I want to say happy anniversary. And second of all, kind of first and foremost, so before happy anniversary, is thank you to all of our patrons for joining us here, supporting the podcast, and just being an amazing community. It has truly been an honor.
Yes, truly been an honor to share the space with all of you guys. Thank you, patrons, for your support. Bobby J. Burns, just looking at a couple of the wonderful patrons that are resubbing, Todd Pruitt, and great people like you. My Eterp, our super fan from across the seas, always engaging with the community. Frank, Benedict Casa, Kurt, Spencer Hopkins, all you guys resub. We really appreciate you very much.
Absolutely. And the ones we did not name, you are equally appreciated. Yes. And we look forward to continuing the Patreon page and growing it and continue to stabilize and not destabilize the Patreon community.
Yes. No coups, guys. Don't you guys try to violently overthrow us.
Yeah, please. Please. Because we have guns. But with that, let's get into it. First of all, talking about a movie that's all about a coup, and one that I'm a big fan of, a sci-fi thriller, just has super cool weapons within it. Let's talk about Elysium, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I love this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie in terms of the story, but I love the world that it introduces. Like, I love, like, how they kind of set up, like, the whole concept and stuff like that. It's a little on the nose in terms of its messaging, but it's really fun. It's a fun world to inhabit, and I thought it was I was really excited because when I first saw this, because Neil Blomkamp, he did District 9, right? And this was his follow-up. They're like, hey, we're going to give you a big budget.
90.
Yeah, it's very much like class. It has to do with like class kind of warfare, or class distinctions. It takes place in a really gritty kind of part of town for most of it. The basic story is that the poor people live on Earth, which is really environmentally destroyed, and all the rich people live in a giant space station called Elysium, where they have access to basically everything. Like, they have access to medical care. They have these machines that can cure literally any disease, and like they just don't let the poor people have it.
Yeah. No, and I love this movie because they incorporate, sci-fi weapons, like amazing weapons that we saw in District 9, like the aliens had, and they mix it with obviously just old school and current weapons that are in, like, they have anywhere from, M9 Berettas to Glocks to Model 723s, like the car, M16s, M4s, and then obviously my favorite, the AKM, the futuristic AKM that Matt Damon holds when they are fighting the guys, and it has like laser guided explosive bullets, which is honestly the coolest weapon in this movie for me. I want one, and I got to figure out how to make one.
Yeah,
but
he knew Boomcamp. He must have a thing for like weapons and technology, because he has in that and in District 9, he has these amazingly cool designed weapons. So we know that he tried to, or at least it was in the running for, creating a Halo movie back in the day. Like, he had a script for it. I think he was I don't know if it's still on YouTube, but there is a short film that he created that was like a concept piece for like, hey, if you let me do a Halo movie, this is kind of what it's going to look like a little bit. So he's obviously a big sci-fi fan, and he loves the idea of these sci-fi type weapons. So hats off in that department, the design department, of all the cool, all the stuff that, like the anti-material rifle, the chemrail weapon that he has, or what is it? The TST chemrail. Yeah, it was a chemrail dual stage linear motor rifle manufactured by TST and used by security forces on Elysium. Just looking at the little fandom wiki here. But cool designs.
I'm on the Elysium wiki too, looking at all these futuristic guns. And it's so cool because they'll take, one thing that I appreciate about sci-fi is they'll take actual weapon systems and just totally turn them futuristic.
Yep.
Like for example, in Aliens, when they took the MG42 and they literally just mounted it to a camera body steady cam mount.
Yep.
And then called it the
smart gun.
Yeah, the smart gun.
Yeah.
Like ingenuity like that. Like they take literally a Mark 46 and turn it into like a chainsaw configuration and like use it as this futuristic, and they even mount a 203 on it. It's like one of the coolest guns I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's super cool. They do a lot of like in current times weaponry, but then mod them to give you that futuristic, super cool vibe. So I really appreciate that about Elysium. But besides the weaponry, the coup. What is the coup in this movie?
Well, the space station Elysium, there's some political upheaval, basically, about it.
Jodie
Foster
separated the classes.
Yeah. Jodie Foster plays one of the characters that's on Elysium, and like kind of the president of Elysium. It's obviously illegal for people on the surface to travel up, but there are black market ships that travel up there that try to infiltrate Elysium so that people can get into those little pods and for medical care and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, because even though it's illegal, they're still humans, so the current government doesn't want them to like get killed. But Jodie Foster's like a super hardcore person, so she like fires upon the ships and destroys two of them. One of them gets through. They kind of capture him and deport him. Well, that dude has a problem with her tactics. And she's like, well, you're just too weak to kind of hold the line like I am. So she instigates the plans for a coup and kind of has them, I think she like has them implanted into one of her allies' minds. Like he has like these mind implants. Well, the other people find out about that and they want to go get them, and so they hire Matt Damon, he's like just some poor dude, and he gets exposed to like a lethal dose of radiation. So he's going to die in a couple days. So he takes this offer that's eventually to say, hey, if you get this stuff for us, we're going to let you come up to Elysium and cure your radiation sickness, So they fit him with an exoskeleton, which it's like really cool, like maybe just a couple years into the future kind of idea, because it's not like this beautiful kind of like a really elegant design. It's a bunch of like nuts and bolts, like surgically implanted into his skeletal system.
Yeah, it's gruesome. It's gruesome tech. It's not like very like beautiful.
Yeah.
And what he's trying to get like codes so they can even fly the ships up, because then there are like automated like guns that can take out anything coming up to them. So what he's trying to get is like the codes in order to get them on the ship.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole they need this guy's brain, but then he gets fatally injured, but they grab the codes anyway. And so, and that somebody else, I don't really think it's Jodie Foster or something, hires Sharlto Copley's character. He's the actor from District 9. He comes back, and he's this really super skeezy, hardcore mercenary dude to go and get the codes from Matt Damon and his buddies. So this whole stuff, like,
he does such a good job too.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, he is so good at making you hate him.
Yep, he does.
Like he plays the ideal South African mercenary.
Yes,
like
totally uncompromising.
Scumbag.
Yep.
Yeah, he goes from like this scumbag in District 9. It's like super sleazy, but he's still sleazy. But it's like if that guy joined the military and like got jacked and became crazy and like fun loving and just relentless. I think his character is super awesome.
Yeah, he does a good job. And then at the end, how wrapping around to the coup thing, well, he finds out about the codes and he's been hired to go get them, but then he just decides that he's going to use them to install himself in power on Elysium and just take over. So at the very end, when Matt Damon's trying to set things right and rescue his friend who's been kidnapped and put on Elysium, he runs into Sharlto Copley's character. He's like, I want those codes and I'm going to take over, and he has his buddies start killing indiscriminately and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's the coup. And I love how he gets like shot in the face. Like his face completely gets caved in, and then they put him in the booth that's like can regenerate anything or fix any illness, and he just comes back to life.
Yeah.
Like and then he's super pissed. He's like, I'm gonna get that guy.
Yeah.
I love how his memories stay in his brain, because like his face is completely caved in.
Yeah, he basically
just like a rotting corpse.
Gets his, like when you don't do a suicide right and like they just blow up the front of their faces.
Yeah.
Like that's what happens to him.
Face.
Yeah. And so they just put him in the booth and it just brings him back. Like no big deal.
He still has all his hair though, so I appreciate that. Maybe I should get on that booth to get my hairline back. That'd be cool.
I appreciated the little bit of detail that they put on it, because I think in the movie he has like a facial tattoo for most of the movie, and then when he gets his face blown off and reconstructed, he doesn't have that tattoo
gone.
anymore. It's just
he
his regular face. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Good attention to detail. I like Elysium. I think it's a very entertaining movie, despite Izzy's story, discrepancies.
I think if I was able to try to nail down the specific critique, I think Neil Blomkamp has a penchant for kind of moralistic, like morally gray characters, which that's fine, because that was Sharlto Copley's character in District 9. In this one, it's the same with Matt Damon. He's just like a poor guy.
He's in it for himself, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of in it for himself for most of the movie, and I don't know why that took me out of it, or I just wasn't. I was like, I didn't really like his character, and I didn't see myself liking his character, even when he kind of turns around and has a change of heart or whatever. I'm like, I still don't. So maybe that was it. Maybe that took me out of it, and I just wasn't able to reconnect with Matt Damon's character after that. And boy, Jodie Foster, I'm telling you, like Academy Award-winning actress, this is the worst performance she has ever given. She was so bad in this movie, it took me out of it. I'm like, Jodie Foster.
You hear that, Jodie? You hear that?
Listen, Jodie, I love you. Come on, call me sometime.
Jodie, baby.
Jodie,
Come on.
Jodie,
what are you
baby.
doing?
She doesn't care. She's like, she's laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, she's like, Israel who?
She's got Nell. She's got her Academy Awards. But man, she was so bad at this movie. I don't know what happened. Maybe she just didn't care, or Neil Blomkamp. I don't know. Maybe it was bad. I don't know. I don't know what happened. That's just me, though. Hey, you can like this movie, folks. Listen, I'm just some guy. I'm just a caveman
guy with an opinion. They say about opinions, right? Everybody's opinions are just like assholes. Everybody's got one. And just some of them,
and they're
stink.
full. They're full of crap.
Yeah.
Elysium, folks. You didn't think it was about a coup, but it totally was.
Totally about the coup. And on this, keeping the subject alive of like sci-fi genre, I see we have Star Trek on here. I know
two.
You
Star
probably
Treks.
have a lot to say because you are one of the biggest Star Trek nerds I've ever met.
I will never not have anything to say when it comes to Star Trek. But
a lot of coups in space.
A lot of coups in
Let's
space,
talk about
man.
it.
People don't
Space
change. People don't change, unfortunately. Except for humanity. I feel like, humanity is still pretty corrupt. When you get into the Deep Space Nine series, you're like, oh yeah, we're still humanity. We haven't revolved past ourselves.
No, we're not going to change, no.
But the two on here that have kind of coup-like elements, actually, yeah, it's humans that are doing the coup, or attempted coup in this first one. Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. It's the last one with the whole classic crew, I think. It takes place after the events of the Final Frontier. It's basically the Klingon Empire is destabilized by the destruction of one of their mining moons, and it leads them to reach out to the Federation for peace, even though they've been mortal enemies for decades, for generations, And you come to find out there are elements within the government of the Federation that do not want this to happen. So what they've actually done, they institute a plan, and this whole cover-up from the beginning of the movie all the way to the end with some of the Klingons to not have peace. So that's kind of the whole big cover-up of the movie, and Captain Kirk and his crew, they get in the midst of it, and they're sent to like a prison planet. They got to escape. They got to get this evidence to the government to show that there's some conspiracies going on. But yeah, basically elements from both the Klingon Empire and the Federation, they don't want peace, which is like, why don't you want peace? Because it's like they've been so used to the war and the tension between the two races, between the two peoples. It's like they just want to keep that going. And, they even use Captain Kirk's words against him in the beginning of the movie because Captain Kirk's son was killed by a Klingon in Star Trek 3 or Star Trek.
Damn Klingons.
Yeah, the search for Spock, and they're like, the Klingons are reaching out. Kirk's like, I don't like it. I don't trust them. And there was this one dude's like, they're dying. And Captain Kirk's like, let them die. Like this could be good for the universe to just let them die off, And yeah, obviously at the end of the day, he's able to overcome his prejudice and stuff, but that actually is used against him later on by the opposing faction who's like, listen, Captain Kirk, you may not like our methods, but you know that this is what should
Kirk,
happen.
Baby.
Kirk, baby, come on. Hey,
Kirk, baby, come on.
Baby, Kirk. So yeah, it's about prejudice, and it's about the undiscovered country is the future. That's a quote from something, I think. But one of the characters says it or whatever. But it's the future. Yeah. It's the uncertainty of the future and the fear of the future.
Baby. Come on, baby.
And come on, baby. Hey.
That's gonna be the theme of this
rap
episode.
With me, baby. What the future, baby, Kirk,
baby, future, baby.
But the other future baby, the other one with a coup is Star Trek Nemesis, and this was the last movie with the Next Generation crew. And it's not the entirety. It's wrapped up into the plot, but it kicks off with a coup in the Romulan Empire because there's kind of two races. Romulans, there's the Romulans, and then I think the Remans or something. It's like a genetic race or a race that they've genetically kind of created or modified to just be a slave race, and they want to let them go, set them free. But some Romulans don't want that. Some Romulans do. And there's a faction that wants freedom for the Remans, but they want it like violently. So it kicks off with the whole Romulan council, like their Senate, getting assassinated by this like genetic weapon. They all like crumble apart and turn into dust. And Captain Kirk finds out about it. And the big twist in the story is that he meets the main antagonist, who's kind of the leader of the emerging government of the kind of the Remans and stuff, who wants violent overthrow of the Romulan government. And he is played by Tom Hardy, who is in the movie. It turns out that the Romulans were going to do a genetic clone of Captain Picard, and they were going to try to insert him as a plant as a mole into the government, but they abandoned the plan and they were just going to leave him for dead on a prison planet. But then he rises to power. So it's Tom Hardy playing a young thin Tom Hardy before he got all jacked and played
Bane. Yeah,
played Bane. But anyway, he's a great
Tom,
antagonist.
Lose
Tom,
some weight.
baby, Tom, baby, listen,
baby Tom.
we'll let you work out later. Now you got to play a Captain Picard clone, but pretty okay movie. You know, not the best Star Trek movie in my opinion. I think the best one in my opinion was First Contact, where they have the Borg, but that's just me. Anyway, both movies having to do with coups, with violent overthrows of the government. Not the best. Neither of the Undiscovered Country was actually pretty good. I actually like that one a lot. I think it's one of the better ones, kind of right behind Wrath of Khan. But Star Trek Nemesis not so good, but does have Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah. Well, taking a break from sci-fi themed coups, space coups, if you will. Let's do some coups that are ingrained in our reality here, and we have one on this list that, not to be confused with Olympus Has Fallen, not to be confused with London Has Fallen, although they are the same movie. But White House Down, Channing baby, come on, Channing, we gotta do a war. We gotta do a tour of the White House, baby. Come on. But this movie currently available on Netflix as the time of this podcast. But pretty much has to do a divorced U.S. Capitol police officer attempts to rescue both his daughter and the President of the United States when a destructive paramilitary group occupies and tries to take over the White House. Jamie Foxx plays in it, Channing Tatum. Pretty good cast, but literally this movie and Olympus Has Fallen came out the same year. Yep. I don't know who decided, if there's like a Hollywood power, like a magic, force that tells people when to release literally the same movie with different titles. Obviously, that force was on vacation when this came out. But I like Channing Tatum. I'm a, as they say, Channing Tatum, cool guy. He plays some really good roles. I like Channing because he obviously has a lot. He's no stranger to military films. Like he played in the most recently in the film Dog, which portrays a military working dog, and 2nd Ranger Battalion Rangers, which strikes close to my heart because I was a part of 2nd Ranger Battalion. Yep. But yeah, I think the movie's entertaining. It is what it is, but it definitely has to hit the coup. Have you seen this one?
No, I have not. I haven't seen either of the Olympus Has Fallen series, and this one
dude, you haven't?
Either. But yeah, it was kind of one of those things when I saw. Neither one really particularly, like whether it was the actors in it or the storyline, I wasn't particularly interested in at the time. This is 2013. I forget what I was doing. I was obviously doing other things, and I was like, I'm good. This was before AMC A-List Movie Pass. So if it was back then, I probably would have saw it because I'm like, I can see whatever movie I want. But no, I never saw this one. What did you think about it?
It's been a while. I mean, like I said, the reason I put so much emphasis on saying it came out at the same time as Olympus Has Fallen, they're basically the same movie. The only difference is Channing Tatum's character applies to be Secret Service, doesn't get it, and then decides to take his daughter on a tour of the White House, and then that's when stuff goes down. But then Gerald Butler's character, former Ranger in the movie, he is part of the Secret Service and the PSD to the president, and then there is I wouldn't say it's necessarily a coup, but I'm pretty sure it's a foreign government. I think it's North Korea or China comes in and tries to take over. It's primarily literally the same movie, just different paramilitary groups coming over and taking in. But it's up to Chan. I'm gonna call him Chanyard. Chanyard. Because it's basically Gerald, Chael.
Gerard Butler, and
Tutler. Yeah, Tutler. It's up to Tutler to stop the force coming in. I mean, let's be honest. It's not like the greatest movie ever made. It definitely, fits in the category of coups, but it's been so long. It's just it's like the check the box movie. It's just like, okay, I watched it, and it's entertaining. There's a lot of action in it, but it's not like, wow, this movie changed my life and made me want to be Secret Service.
Yeah, it's interesting, that phenomenon. That happens every once in a while in Hollywood, where there will be two movies that are basically the same storyline or very similar, near as very similar. Like, the classic is Deep Impact and then Armageddon. Both involve meteors heading for the Earth. So that it's just funny how that happens. Or even there'll be like a big budget version, and then some smaller production company will be like, like the old Asylum pictures, when those things were around. They will just take the basic concept and make like a $200,000 version of it. You won't get Transformers, you get Transmorphers. You won't get Fast and Furious, you'll get 200 miles per hour.
It's like cereal brands. How there's Honey Nut Cheerios, but then you go to the grocery store and they're not in boxes; they're in giant bags, and they're just called Honey-O's.
Yeah, Honey-O's.
Like that. Yeah.
Yep. Well,
just watered down versions. You got to stay in the market somehow.
That's right. I mean, people like what they like, and if you could just make an off-brand version of what they like, then you're good to go.
Yeah. But I feel like that's what this movie was.
Yeah. White House Down. You know what else is I thought it was interesting. This was on the list, but I guess it kind of works. But The Lion King.
Talk about big budget movies. Yeah, they're at least really popular. Yeah, Lion King is 100% a coup.
Now,
I mean, it doesn't have to do with government. I mean, technically, the pride governs the
hierarchy.
It governs the land. Yeah, the lions are in charge of keeping peace within the savannah out there, and Scar, overthrows and takes over.
Violent overthrow causes the stampede of the wildebeest, and then he
stages his brother's death.
Yeah, and then
Real
he
piece
thinks
of shit.
somebody's dead as well. So it's definitely. I think it falls into the overthrow. I mean, would this count as like assassination? Does it matter? Are they categorically different or too far separated? A coup and an assassination.
Technically, it is violent and sudden.
Yeah.
So I would. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting thinking about like this Disney movie is like we were exposed to coups as children.
Yeah, and they just went way over
without
our head.
even knowing it.
Yep.
Yeah,
but we understand betrayal.
We do understand betrayal, like big themes here. But no, at the end of the day, I would 100% agree that The Lion King is a coup. It's just not militarized. It's animalized. It's a animalistic coup.
It is. It's a little like Hamlet too. I mean, you got the son whose father is killed by his brother, as it were.
Yeah.
And then obviously Simba comes back and has to take responsibility for the pride. But
sure.
But yeah, I like that. Yeah, Lion King. Not much more to say about that. This is more of an example of like the inciting incident is a coup, and then the story, of course, takes off from there. But another one that I was thinking about that I don't know how to say words. It came to my mind, and I thought this is totally about a coup. But the 1993 Disney movie, The Three Musketeers.
Yeah, Disney's on the coup train, huh?
Yeah, starring Kiefer
Talk
Sutherland,
about it. Tell me about it.
Charlie Sheen, Chris O'Donnell, Oliver Platt, Tim Curry, Rebecca De Mornay, like the heavy hitters from the 80s and 90s, like late 80s, early 90s. I swear I can talk, guys. I swear I can English with the best of them. But based on the novel, sort of like nobody. I love Disney movies because, or these kind of era of movies where none of the characters, like it takes place in a foreign country, but none of the characters even attempt to have like any kind of accent. Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, and Oliver Platt, who play Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. Pathos.
Athos, Aramis.
Amos, and Andrew.
D'Artagnan?
D'Artagnan is Chris O'Donnell. He's the one who joins.
Yeah,
He's the
Porthos,
fourth guy.
Aramis, and Arthos.
Yeah,
then.
Pathos, Arthos, and Aramis. Yeah,
Oliver
they're the Three
Platt,
Musketeers. Those are the guys that, and then D'Artagnan kind of is the new guy. They take him under their wings and show him the ways of the Musketeers, because the Musketeers are the personal guard to the king of
they are the Delta
France
of the time.
Yeah, exactly. And so what they do is they uncover a plot by Tim Curry's character, who's he's the Cardinal Richelieu, who is attempting to take over the government. And he has disbanded the Musketeers, the king's personal guard, and installed his own guard in their stead. But they know that he's only doing this because he wants to gain power. They get caught up in the plot. They have to go on the run. They end up coming around and getting all the Musketeers together. And there's a big battle at the end where they have to save the king. And and of course this is where we get that amazing song, "All for One and All for Love." That it had what it says, it was like Sting and Bryan Adams,
Oh, it has to be good then.
Oh, yeah. Let's make it all for one and all for love. Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't seen this movie, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Man.
But it sounds good.
It's like one of the great '90s ballads of all time. There was this one, and then the one from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, also by Bryan Adams. Everything I do it for you. Which someday you and I could sing. Maybe we could sing that "All for One" and "All for Love" sometime. We'll get a third guy in there. But anyway, Three Musketeers from the '90s. If you like movies that don't age well, like it's a fun film. It's fun and lighthearted and got some good action in it. But it is very much like you can tell that it was made in the '90s, even though it was a period film and it's supposed to take place in France. It just kind of has this sensibility about it. Also because Chris O'Donnell's in it.
It's like totally Americanized, like Outlander. With, Sean Connery's playing the Spaniard.
Totally.
And he doesn't have any Spanish accent. He just has the Sean Connery accent.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It takes place in Paris, France. Nobody has an accent. Nobody has an accent. No, none of the characters have an accent.
Nobody even tries.
Yeah,
to have a French accent. They're not like Musketeers.
They're
just like Musketeers.
Yeah, we are the Three Musketeers. I am D'Artagnan. You are D'Artagnan. But there's three great guys that were at the top of their game at the time: Kiefer Sutherland, Oliver Platt, and Charlie Sheen. Before he went he went crazy.
He went down the winning phase.
Yeah, the Tiger's Blood phase. Totally great. Great one about a coup, and highly recommend it.
Yeah. What about, so we talked a little bit about movies here. I know you are a video game wizard. So are there any video games that feature coups that you just want to talk about?
Absolutely. I mean, Dishonored 1 and 2, great video game series.
I remember you mentioned this in the past.
Yeah.
Can you, maybe someone's just joining us, can you talk a little bit about those games?
Yeah, Dishonored 1 and 2, they both take place in like a fictionalized post-industrial England type setting. It's a fictional land. Yes. Actually, mostly like a middle American accents. I'm not sure anybody. Yeah, it's mostly middle American type accents, but it's
who needs authenticity?
Yeah, it's kind of like turn of the century American colonies type stuff. It's whaling is like a big kind of industry there. They've got these fictional kind of whales that they, so it's that kind of era. It's very steampunk-esque in its technology. And you work for the Empress, Jessamine Caldwell, who is assassinated in the very beginning of the game. And you, as her personal guard, are framed for the murder. You then subsequently escape with the help of a kind of splinter group that is trying to get to the bottom of, who kind of assassinated her and instilled themselves in power. So there's a little bit of political intrigue. And then you kind of go undercover to uncover a plot of how this all happened. And then halfway through the first game, Dishonored, the group that you are with then stabs you in the back and takes the daughter, her, I think it's Elizabeth Caldwell. They take her and install her as a puppet, and they kill, because now you've cleared the way from all the other guys from the first coup.
So they're conducting the coup.
Yeah, there's two coups in one. It's a coup, as you say.
Two coups for the price of one.
That's right. It's a coup squared. And so then you have to go take them out. But in the second game, it's years later. Elizabeth Caldwell is the Empress, and you are her personal guard. So in the second one, you can either play as the main character from the first game or Elizabeth. And then a woman comes in who is the long-lost older sister of Jessamine Caldwell, who was kind of disowned and sent away. She comes in and violently overthrows your government. You go on the run and have to kind of build yourself back up to come back and get revenge on her. So both games end with the violent overthrow of the current government, and there's 2 for the price of 1. So it's 3 coups for 2 games, but really good
3
series.
Coups, 2 games, hell of a deal. It's like kind of like a BOGO, buy one get one.
Yes, yeah. Buy two, get one. I guess that would be.
Yeah, buy 2 get one extra.
Yeah. Exactly. 3 for the price of 1, but really fun. If you're not familiar with the series, it's stealth action, first-person stealth action, a lot like the Thief series from back in the day.
Now, No, it looks really good. I remember seeing trailers of this game when it came out, and it was like, whoa. Like, this is like, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed, but as a first person, and it's very medieval, steampunk. No, I've also seen it on Xbox Game Pass. I've been trying to play it, but I'm just so obsessed with Shadow of War right now that I hadn't had the opportunity to. But it's on my list here, man.
It's really good. When you get to it, it will be well worth the wait because really well done. I forget who's the Arcane Studios, Bethesda publisher, but really fun, unique. It's one of those things like we talked about in the fantasy world when you have to create a whole world with a culture and political factions and religions, all out of kind of using maybe the raw materials of a little bit of history and what you can find around the world. That's not easy to do. So they did a really good job in both of them. It's hard to it's hard to improve on a design, and with Dishonored 2, they actually really did a good job. And it's amazing because it's got replay value because you can play again as Corvo Attano, who's the protagonist from the first game, or you can play as Elizabeth Caldwell in the second game. You know, so it's and the story changes slightly, obviously. Good.
Well, nice, dude.
Pretty good.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I definitely have to check out that one. Well, I know just because the current times and things, the Dune movie, the remake as well as the original, we have a second one in the pipe getting ready to come out. Dune is 100% a coup.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because you have Arrakis, Dune, desert planet where the spice is made. Yeah. There is a peaceful transition from one house to another. The Harkonnens get kicked off, presumably, and then the Atreides house comes in to take over the contract for producing the spice, which is the most valuable thing. Yeah, the spice must flow. It's responsible for pretty much. We talked about it a little bit in our drug episode or our cartel episode.
Yeah, the spice, yo.
But yeah, man, ends up being like a big old conspiracy against House Atreides, because the Emperor is afraid of the power that they have, and so he installs them on Arrakis, and then he gives the Harkonnen their Sardaukar troops.
Sardaukar.
And they sabotage it. They get Dr. Yui to go in there and bring the shields down so they're vulnerable, and they end up taking down all of House Atreides except for Paul and his mother.
Yeah, because they escape using the tongue. Or what's the
voice?
They're like the voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where they can
like,
manipulate
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely. I mean, the original Dune was good. I think for the time when it came out,
I love the original.
It was super
Dune.
rad. Yeah. I was a big fan of like old school sci-fi. You know, Men in Black when it came out, and like they were super big on like the vintage, like making your own sci-fi with like hanging flying saucers from like. Just strings and like a lot of smoke machines and just really big animated sets.
Yeah.
Like the original Dune, they was all that, and they did it for me. But the new Dunes are really good just because of the modern technology. Like sci-fi is only going to get way cooler and way more better in my English tongue. But yeah, no, I look forward to the second one because every time I talk about Dune, everybody knows I'm like, well, why is the chick Zendaya like on the poster and only in the movie for literally 5 minutes? But the second one, she'll definitely be in it more. But yeah, Dune, awesome coup movie. Going back to the sci-fi, but like in reality, Valkyrie with Tom Cruise,
totally
realistic coup, real coup based off a real one.
An attempted coup. Yeah, I was so intrigued when I first heard about this movie. I did not know that this is something that had happened in history.
Yeah, Operation Valkyrie.
Yeah. It's basically some of the German officers, like they don't like a Hitler and they try to assassinate him. So it's this whole conspiracy to take him out so that they can take over the government. It's pretty wild because they have to actually, I think, I don't know if Operation Valkyrie was because there were actual contingency plans in place.
Yeah, sure. Just in case the invade. Yeah.
Yeah, in case they got invaded or in case Hitler was incapacitated or killed. But they basically had those slightly changed to where they would have power if that ever happened. And then, of course, the ultimate linchpin in the entire operation was assassinating Hitler.
Yeah. I mean, so according to Time.com, the main purpose of Operation Valkyrie, so the idea was that once Hitler was dead, the military would claim the assassination was part of an attempted coup by the Nazi Party, and the reserve army would seize key installations in Berlin and arrest high-ranking Nazi leadership. So basically, they were trying to implode the Nazi Party on themselves, which is honestly super smart.
Yeah. It was very intricate, and I think the big point of the whole thing was that they didn't actually take Hitler out. They had this whole plot they had a bomb in a suitcase, and one of the dudes was supposed to put it in there and put it in a certain spot. And then I think in the course of the events, it got moved to a different spot. And I think even the wood that the table was made out of was a different kind of wood, or it was in not a rock, but to the blast, didn't totally take him out. And so that was kind of ultimately where it all went wrong, because they started getting reports. They were like, oh, we have to do this thing, and here it goes. And then, oh, wait, Hitler's not dead, and what are we doing?
Yeah.
Then they got...
I mean, could you imagine being in, obviously based off a true story, but could you imagine being, in Tom Cruise's shoes? The amount of pressure that's on you. Obviously, the level of espionage that was required to fulfill this role, so sketchy.
Yeah.
That is beyond belief of, not only do you have to be in the presence of a figure that once they're dead, the war will come to an end.
Yeah.
And, trying to gain their trust, and the trust of, not just, military officers, but intelligent people. It's not an easy fraud. I would rather go in guns blazing than try to go, because that's more of a psychological war than a physical one. I don't think I could do that, but mainly because I look like the way I am, and I'm I don't have an eye patch or a missing arm.
Which
and
helps.
My German is no gut.
Yeah.
Mein Deutsch is no gut. Yeah.
Even saying that is kind of impressive to me.
Ich cannot sprechen the Deutsch sehr gut.
Dude, you're sprechen it right now, man.
Yeah, but and then I would always put up this 3, the American 3.
Yeah.
I'd have to put up the German 3.
You get recognized at the bar.
That's how I would get recognized at the bar, and then have a shootout with Aldo. Valkyrie. That's a hell of a coup attempt.
Man.
I mean, not necessarily successful, but still totally fits the bill here on this episode.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then just a quick honorable mention to another World War II era, but it's a video game, or maybe just after. It's alternate history. It's Wolfenstein: The New Order. I was playing this for a little while on stream, but it got hard, so I quit. But it's alternate history.
I know. I watched that stream. You're like, what do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do? Somebody help me. What do I do? That was the whole stream. I was like, oh my God.
I got a little frustrated, so I had to. I love this. I've played the series from way back, but I forget how games are today in these days sometimes, in that they're not as simple as they used to be.
No, that's why I stopped playing, because I was like, I just need to follow a trail and just tell me what I need to do. Games nowadays are like, what do I do?
And the AI.
What literally do I do? Yeah.
The AI is after you, man. They'll come after you. We're playing 6 Days in Fallujah. That just came out.
How is it?
It's fun for what it is. Not a lot of content, though. There's only 3 missions. There's no single-player campaign. They got a lot of work to do. And so, I'm glad it's out, but it's definitely early development. But all that to say that, like Wolfenstein: The New Order, the AI is merciless, man. They are coming for you, and you got no time. I can't think that fast. I need a moment. I need a dark corner somewhere to think about my strategy. But they're gonna come find you in that dark corner. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that makes it realistic, huh? Because you have no time to think.
Yeah.
He's thinking. The AI is thinking as well.
Yeah,
so
they're
you better
thinking
make a
too,
decision
so.
fast.
That's why I'm a big fan of just overwhelming force and 3-to-1 ratio.
Fire superiority.
Exactly.
There you go. Crush everything in sight. But other honorable mentions. You have Man of Steel on here, which in the beginning, General Zod, coup of Superman's planet. What is that planet called?
Krypton.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, this one, the Man of Steel series is always interesting, or that Zack Snyder verse, a lot darker,
Yeah.
basically in the beginning of the movie, for those that haven't seen it, which I don't know if there's probably maybe a few of you, but
Yeah, it's
Krypton,
not all tight costumes and great hair.
No.
It's
dark.
It's lost, despair, dark. Yeah.
coups.
Which I appreciate. Yeah, coups.
No, I appreciate the boldness of the attempt, and I didn't realize that. I think didn't Christopher Nolan have something to do with it? He was like one of the producers or co-writers or something like that.
Oh, I have no
But
idea. Well,
in the
while you
beginning
talk
of the
about it, I will
movie,
look.
there is political turmoil because it's basically an environmentalist type message. Krypton, due to overmining or sucking of the
Christopher
resources.
Nolan was a producer.
Okay, there you go. Sucking the resources out of Krypton.
Story by David Goyer and Christopher Nolan. Oh, very cool.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. So Krypton's being destabilized, and nobody can figure out what to do about it. So General Zod tries to take over the government violently, and in the midst of that, little Kal-El is shot off into space with the genetic codex for their entire race in his body by Russell Crowe, who's Jor-El, and Jor-El gets killed by General Zod, and then General Zod gets kidnapped. He loses, and then he gets imprisoned rather, and sent off into space. But anyway, just honorable mention because it's just kind of the inciting incident for the movie. Real dark. We'll never know what the Snyderverse was going to ultimately become, because now it's the James Gunniverse, and we'll see what he does with the DC properties. Lots of different coups in video games. You got Red Faction, you got Just Cause 2, XCOM 2, out in 2016, turn-based strategy. Aliens have basically taken over the Earth, and then you lead a resistance to stop them. I'd say that falls within like coup territory.
I would say so. I mean, they technically take over as like the world government.
Yeah, they win. Which is always an interesting context, to come into a video game. It's like, no, you lost. Aliens won. Now what are you gonna do about it? That is not an easy game to play, man. I played through that once. That has a learning curve, a harsh learning curve to it.
Oh, I'm sure.
But still a lot of fun to play, and in the vein of a coup, a long-term. I don't know if you call that a revolution or an insurgency. I guess you would be the insurgency, but it's a worldwide coup. You're kind of trying to destabilize and take over the entire world government. So it's a uber coup, as they say.
Uber coup.
Uber coup.
Coup, uber coup.
Coup, uber coup.
Well, a lot of coups happening all over the video game world. In the real world, the coup of Sudan is absolutely nuts, but that's for a different podcast.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that here. But
hey, let's keep it on the screen, folks. Let's not actually do a coup.
Absolutely, yeah. Keep it on the screen unless it is well deserved, like The Patriot and Mel Gibson, like the founding of this country. Yeah, screw the Brits. But unless you're British and we're cool with the Brits. But back then we weren't cool with them. But yeah, love me some Brits and crumpets and tea. But we talked about a lot of coups in video games, pop culture. It was a lot of fun. But now it is time to transition to our fan question and our game here. So Izzy, let's see, what's this fan question, dude?
Ton Locator 453 via Instagram wants to know, if there was a civilian uprising, would you guys re-enlist in the military, fight against it, or on your own, or join it? Ooh. So civilian, I guess it depends.
Really, what's it about?
Yeah, on who these civilians are that are uprising against the government. Because, listen, I'll be honest, man, I'm not a big fan of what the government is doing now.
I hate the government. So, if there's a coup with the government right now, I'm not joining the military. I'll be honest, that ship has sailed for me. And, I've been involved in, obviously civil unrest in the military, being in the National Guard.
Yep.
It's not a fun place to be.
Yeah, you were on the defensive military lines, looking out at people marching.
Yeah, during the riots during COVID in 2020. Yeah, that wasn't a good place to be, because obviously, when you think of a foreign enemy, we can all band together and go against corruption in the world, right? Mm-hmm. But it's different when you're a quote unquote, or whoever tells you the enemy is your countrymen.
Right.
That's way more difficult. But as you said, I hate the government, so I will not be joining any militaries to defend. But happy fighting. That's what I say. Maybe I'll join the civilian uprising, depending on what it is.
Yeah, depending. That's the big thing. Is I don't dislike the idea of government in general. I think the idea is
it should play a small role, though.
Be good. Yeah,
it should play a very small role.
Right, but now we're at a point in our country where, I think the government's way too big, way too intrusive, and pushing values that I don't agree with. We are a long way. No matter what anybody says, we are a long way from any kind of violent uprising. But if there ever was, in terms of, the government's encroaching too much, you know what? Actually, I take that back. Maybe we're not so far away, because I've seen some stuff lately. You hide your dogs, right, when the ATF comes and knocking. But anyway, not going to be joining any government bodies anytime soon.
Okay. Well, we hope we answered that question for you. But let's transition to our game, and we have a great game for you, Izzy, and it's called... I don't know what it's called, but I'm just going to start saying what Chris wrote because it's great, and I don't want to ruin it. Let's overthrow the government and do it peacefully. Said no one ever. So in that vein, we are going to play a game called To Coup or Not to Coup. I'm going to say the name of a country, and you tell me if their current leader / government was established by coup or not.
Wow, that's in depth, Chris. Good for you, man.
Chris got the games.
Intriguing, man. I'm intrigued. It'll be interesting to see which governments that are around today were installed by coups or not.
Okay, so let's do it. The warm-up, the United States.
Okay, so I think technically no, right? Because we peacefully declared our independence, right? We wrote to them, say, hey, we declare that we are going to be establishing this United States.
Yeah, it was legit.
Their response was violent. They said, no, you are part of England, and we're sending our troops over. And so we're like, we got to get an army together really quick, or however that happened. But no, I would say the peaceful establishment of our government, it was done peacefully. But then, of course, the war followed because we had to fight to keep that, to maintain that, and to establish that independence.
Yeah. So it wasn't sudden. It wasn't violent. It wasn't like, boom.
Yeah.
Bullet in the head. We're in charge now.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the way that I envision coups happening kind of quite differently. So I'm going to say no.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say you're absolutely right. And that's based off Chris's answer here. So no coup.
Okay.
You are correct. All right. So you got the general idea of how this works. We got a couple countries here, and by a couple, we got like 9.
Whoa!
9 or 10.
A lot of coups.
So we got a lot of coups and no coups to go through. Are you ready, good sir?
Do it.
All right. Haiti.
Ooh,
to coup or not to coup, Haiti?
I don't know much about Haiti, even though I
don't know much.
I went there for a mission trip.
Yeah,
a long time ago. They're still suffering from that, man. They got a slow working government. I'm gonna say originally yes. I want to say it was way back when, like 1800s, that something happened. So I'm gonna say yes, Haiti.
You are correct. Haiti was indeed established by a coup, and I wish I had a little bit of historical background on it, but it just says coup. So
I'm gonna have to take our word for it.
Yeah, just take Chris's word for it. Okay, moving on. Good job. Starting out strong. Let's go to Yemen.
Yemen. It's in Africa. That's on like the eastern side of Africa, Yemen. I don't know much about Yemen either. I need to read a book or something. Go out and touch some grass.
So uncultured.
I know, uncultured swine. I'm just going to play the averages. I'm going to say no coup.
Ooh. Yemen was a coup. They were stood up by a coup.
Okay.
But that's okay because, you're 50-50 now, and let's keep the ball rolling here strong. Next country, Moldova.
Moldova. Wait. I think that's... Oh, wait. There was an attempted coup, like in the description of today's episode.
But this is all about establishing governments.
Originally.
By coup or no coup. Originally.
Moldova. I am going to say no coup, but they're trying to do a coup now.
Okay.
No coup.
No coup is correct.
Hey.
I like no coup because it sounds like Goku. It's
no coup, yeah, Goku, no coup.
Yeah. Yeah. But good job, yeah, Moldova. No coup. All right, moving on to the next one, we have Cambodia.
I'm going to say that was a coup because the Khmer Rouge came in, killed a lot of people. That's killing fields. There's a whole movie about it in the 80s of them just killing every communist government comes in, they kill everybody. That was after we pulled out, so all those governments collapsed. I'm going to say coup.
Well, you definitely know your history, man. I got to watch that movie. Yes, it was a coup in Cambodia. You're killing it, man. You are cultured.
There you go.
Okay, move it on. Egypt.
Ooh.
Land of the pyramids.
Which one? I mean, they had that. What is it? The spring, the Middle Eastern spring, or something like that.
Yeah, Middle Eastern spring, but that was recent.
That was recent,
and not like recent, but like that.
Okay.
Wasn't like in the founding of the country.
Okay, the founding of the country, the current form of the Egyptian government. Man, oh man, where did they get their start as their kind of modern incarnation? I'm gonna say, no coup.
Okay, way to trust your gut. Yes, no coup for Egypt. Your gut is good, but then again, 50-50. But I'm not going to take it away from you. You're doing awesome. Okay, over halfway done. Keeping this train rolling. Next country, Myanmar.
Myanmar.
That
used to be Bombay, wasn't it? Or the name of that used to be under British rule. So I'm gonna say no coup. I think the current formation of the government. I think it started with British rule, but then we kind of like transitioned away, and it wasn't like violent. We just like the British just gave it up. No coup.
Ooh, that one was indeed a coup. They didn't just give it up, I guess.
Dang it.
So,
all right, they must have violently kicked out.
Hell, man, you're doing really good so far. But yeah, Myanmar was a coup. All right, 3 more. You ready?
Yes.
All right, Chile.
I feel like South America has been really unstable in the past. Chile. I'm just going to take a stab in the dark. Let's say coup.
Ooh, stab in the dark and a miss. It was no coup. Chile was pretty legitimized. They started up pretty legit.
All right.
But it's okay. Let's see if you can end this one wrong. I think you've only missed 2 so far.
Okay.
And, your odds are very good. The odds are in your favor. So, finishing it strong. Let's go back to, pretty sure, Africa and say Tunisia.
Tunisia, huh? I don't know anything about Tunisia.
Yeah, me neither.
I got to go with coup. Africa's a pretty unstable part of the world.
It is a very unstable place. And you are absolutely right. Yeah, Tunisia was a coup.
All right.
Nice one. And let's stay in the continent and head on over to Uganda.
Subject
Uganda.
of the,
coup or to not coup?
Coup or no coup?
That is the question.
Coup or no coup? Uganda, man. I mean, the only thing I know about Uganda is from the Book of Mormon musical by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, because that's where they go for their mission trip, is to Uganda. I'm going to say coup. It's never really thought of that as a very stable part of the world.
Way to finish strong, man. Uganda was indeed a coup. You crushed this one. You only missed 2, I'm pretty sure.
2 or 3?
So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plus the warm-up, 10.
All right.
Not bad, man. You know your history of coups. You're
right.
A kooky man.
I'm a good guesser, I think.
Yeah, you're good, man. Hell yeah, that was awesome. Good job.
Thanks, bro.
And thank you, Chris. You came up with a hell of a game there. A lot of learning there about African countries. And the one thing I learned is, it is unstable. That place was unstable.
The world's a pretty unstable place, so let's work really hard, at least here in whatever country you're at, to try to peacefully make change, because ain't no fun, man. When the gloves come off and you lose civil society, man, it's like anything goes. So yeah. I am for peaceful transitions of power.
Yeah. Without rules, we're no better than the animals.
That's right,
as they say in John Wick.
That's right.
But awesome, folks. We hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you, patrons, for being a part of our lives and being a part of this awesome community. Happy 1-year anniversary. Sorry, that's my baby talk coming in from talking to my cats. But happy 1-year anniversary. We are so excited to have you and to continue to bring you some awesome content. Izzy?
Cue music. Oh, do you want me to say something? I guess I could say something.
I mean, you could say something meaningful.
Something meaningful. Up, huh? Hey, no. Thank you for everything, folks, for being here. Thank you, Patreons. We'll see you soon. And now, cue music.
Cue music.